What is up, guys? It's Marcel here. Welcome, everyone. Let me just break down today's trades on GBP USD. I took two trades. First one was a partial plus break-even trade, which was a short trade, and the second one was a long trade, which ended up hitting full TP for 1-to-8 risk-reward ratio. I will break down everything starting from this thought progress all the way down to the criteria. And make sure you watch the whole video because I will share a really important thing in this video about my thought progress on the second long trade, because I just received some DMs about why did I take that long trade and why was I that sure that price will go up to hit that liquidity point, and how did I know that price will go up after breaking that supply. So I will share my point of view because there was a supply mitigation before our trade, but I just share some really important notes about that supply mitigation. Okay, so just make sure you stick to the whole video. All right, so starting with the pre-session forecast plan, let me just grab this tool here. Sorry, the Zoom was hiding it from me. So yeah, let me just start with the pre-session forecast plan. It was pretty easy. I forecasted, if you want to know the whole higher time frame perspective, please check the markups about today's markups. Today is the 30th of August. So check these days markups and you will see the whole perspective of what we were looking for. But a quick note about what we were looking for. Basically, we were looking for two scenarios. First scenario was the short trade on this supply. When I sent the markups, price was at this supply region and we were looking for shorts down to this demand. After demand mitigation, we were looking for longs. This was the first scenario. Second scenario was the break of this supply and longs after this liquidity point, because there was a perfect double top line which we could target as a liquidity to target. So these two plans were the easy plans that we are looking for today. I believe these were pretty easy. All you had to do is to wait for one of the scenarios to happen, apply one of our entry models, and you basically make money. There's nothing else you have to do. Wait for the forecasted scenarios, apply the entry criteria, and you make money, literally. So yeah, let's just see how the trades turned out. So basically, at this region, yeah, this was the exact region when I sent you the markups. I mean, a bit later, like somewhere around here, I sent you the markups. So yeah, this is the thing that has happened here. So before the session opened, you can see that the London session has opened right here, exactly at this candle. So before the session open, price has mitigated this supply that I sent you in the markups and changed the character to the downside. So here was a character changing movement, they even changed the character on the structural point. Okay, so I'm just marking out the structural character change, not all of the change of characters. This is the latest change of character I'm going to mark at. You can mark it out here because here was a demand break, another demand break, but I'm just marking out the structural low because this is how the structure looks like. Coming up, coming down, coming up, coming down, coming up, and breaking the last structural low point. That's why I'm marking this change of character, but this is a change of character too, this is a change of character too, just to clear everything for you guys. All right, so at this point, I was actually analyzing the 1 minute chart, and when I analyzed the 1 minute chart, price was somewhere around here. It was forming this candle. I saw everything. I just quickly came to the criteria, and I did set a limit order here on this order block, here on this supply. And I wanted to make sure that I will win the trade. That's why I used the full body entry. The 3 pip stop loss could easily cover the whole area. And I was targeting the demand because that was the original plan, right? That was the original plan, to wait for confirmation on this supply, take shorts down to this demand, and there was a 1-to-7 risk-reward ratio room. So I was tagging the trade, and yeah, actually, I entered the trade before I could even send you the markups, because I was making the markups while I entered in the trade, right? So I would just leave the trade behind because I didn't send the markups yet. So yeah, I just entered here because I was analyzing the 1 minute time frame. I saw that, oh my god, here's a trade, here's the trade that I forecasted in the 15-minute markup. I have to enter here. I just did pull the trigger. Actually, I pulled the trigger manually because price was somewhere around here when I could open the Metaphor account, and I just did pull the trigger manually. So I was tagged in the trade somewhere around here, but I was tagged in perfectly. So after this, price hesitated for a few more candles, then it started to go down perfectly, and it did hit my partial point. I took partials at 1-to-5 risk-reward ratio. I didn't want to take partials at 1-to-3 because the whole position was 1-to-7 risk-reward ratio. I wanted to take partials at somewhere significant, which was 1-to-5. because taking partials at 1 to 3.5 won't grant you that amount of money. I wanted to let it run. I didn't really want to close at 1 to 3.5, 1 to 3. So I just closed partials at 1 to 5. So I just took some money right here on this partial line. It was perfectly running. I was believing that it will hit my TP point, but before hitting my TP, it just reversed to the upside and took me out in break even here. So this trade ended up in taking 5 risk-reward ratio on partials and the break even. So actually, money has been made on this trade, and it was literally a perfect trade. So let's just quickly count the criteria. I don't really have to explain the thought progress on this trade because, the thought progress has been already explained in the markups already. Sorry for saying so many already. But yeah, the thought progress has been already explained. And it was pretty easy. Waiting for a mitigation on this supply. If a change of character happens here, we are taking shorts down to this demand. If a change of character can't happen and the break happens, we are taking longs up to the liquidity point. And this is the easy thought progress I was looking at. And, I sent you the markup. So you could, actually, you couldn't take this trade because I sent you the markup after I could enter here. Yeah. So sorry for this late markup, but, I just had to enter here. I couldn't miss it. I couldn't leave it. But if you did the analysis for yourself and you had the same thought progress as I did, then you could have entered here. But never mind. Let's just quickly count the criteria on this trade. Basically, there was liquidation. There was perfect liquidity has been built up. For example, yeah, this was a question that why did I enter here without liquidation? There was several liquidation has been created here. First of all, there was a sell trap. If I'm zooming in here, you will see that this was a sell trap. No 50% mitigation, change of character to the downside here and here. Taking out the early sellers on this supply, you can see the reaction here on this candle too. Taking out the early sellers here. First type of liquidation. Second type, double taps above the supply region. Perfect double taps has been located here. This double taps has been swept out by this nice sweeping movement and immediate reversal to the downside. It wasn't just a 0.5, 1 pip sweep. It was a bigger sweep. It was, I can see it from this stuff. So it was more than 2 pip, which is enough for a 1 minute sweep, right? We don't really count 0.5, 1 pip sweeps as a real sweep. We count it above 2 pip if you want to be really precise. So price swept the liquidity from over this supply too, and we could technically count this whole line as liquidity line here. So there was actually 3 types of liquidation, but the most important for me was the liquidity above the supply region, which has been swept out before the nice strong reversal to the downside. So this will be the first criteria, liquidation, first criteria. Second criteria, obviously higher time frame mitigation. Third criteria, the third criteria was inefficiency that has been started from the supply region, perfect inefficiency, perfect volume candle even. Fourth criteria was the pro trend. I was counting this trade as a pro trend because price just changed the character to the downside on the 50-minute time frame and was following this bearish 50-minute order flow to the downside to this 50-minute demand. So for me, it was yes, it was a pro trend trade. So the fourth one is a pro trend. Fifth one, which is the first variable criteria, the change of character. Sixth one, 50% mitigation on this supply. Full region has been mitigated on this supply. Seventh one was the V-shape rejection, coming up, sweeping out the liquidity and reversing in a V-shape immediately. Eighth one, price didn't mitigate any higher time frame opposite sided zone. So there was no 5-minute, 50-minute demand at this region. So it wasn't coming from an unmitigated opposite sided zone. Ninth one, there was no come by liquidation, so we won't count that as a criteria. That's a missing criteria. Ninth one, there was perfect liquidity to target. And basically, this was a liquidity trend line here, built up for the shorts, which we could target. And there was even more, this liquidity was taken out already. So yeah, this was a liquidity to target, and this was even a middle of nowhere reversal, MNR, which is in itself a liquidity, but it just formed a liquidity trend line here too. So yeah, that was a liquidity to target, which is the 9th criteria. And the 10th criteria was a strong pro-corrective pullback. For me, the short movements were stronger in this region than the long movements. Much stronger. Just scamper the short movement. Really dropping with volume and inefficiency. Yeah, you can see some volume and inefficiency on the longs too here and here, but mainly it was a pullback. It was a really nice pullback. You can see that it was efficiently coming up to this supply, creating no inefficiency. And when the supply is mitigated, the real drop has started again to the downside here. So for me, it was 10 criteria. Perfect 10 criteria trade, 1-to-5 risk-reward ratio, partial. What just happened? Sorry, I just exited from the replay mode. So yeah, 1-to-5 risk-reward ratio trade. That's it on the first trade. Let me just replay it back again. So here this is my break-even point after hitting the partials. So yeah, 1.5 risk-reward ratio in partials already booked on this trade. After this one, I will play price forward. You will see that price just rapidly broke above the supply here. So the rapid break of the supply has happened, right? If I switch to the higher time frame, to the 5-minute time frame, or to the 15-minute time frame, let's just stick to the 15-minute time frame. If you switch to the 15-minute time frame, you will see that this supply was broken with the body closure, because here it was just a week above. That's why I was calling it a liquidity sweep, because on the 15-minute time frame and the 5-minute time frame, it just simply swept the liquidity. But this kind of broke above the high point, broke above the supply, broke above the high point even. But here comes the flat progress. I was thinking that. So price mitigated another supply that was located here. So you could ask that why weren't we focused on shorts down to this demand anymore? That's why the 5-minute demand came into place. So I'll just listen here carefully. Here, normally, I mean, not just normally, but if you are not an unexperienced trader, you will just simply look at the supply, you will see a mitigation, you will wait for shorts, you will execute shorts down to some demand, right? But the reason I marked out this 5-minute demand is because I was waiting for an extra confirmation. I was waiting for the confirmation of this demand, because if this demand is getting confirmed, if this demand is getting mitigated, and if it's getting confirmed, then everything will be decided. Because basically price couldn't really decide where it's want to head, where it's want to go, right? We could just simply go in shorts, long, go shorts, long. So price could go anywhere. The reason I marked this demand out and not just simply was listening to short is because if this demand that literally broke about this supply that is located here and created the mitigation of this second supply can hold price and can confirm price, then it will prove that this supply that did hold price previously will be weak, and we will be able to target the liquidity above it. But if this demand won't be able to hold price and it breaks, then we can count on the shorts, and we can take shorts down to this demand based on the supply that broke below the demand here, or based on a higher supply somewhere around here that created the whole movement to the downside. So that's why it's important to use these multifunctional zones to confirm each movement, because basically these areas will tell you where price you want to go. Because yeah, on the first hand, price has mitigated the supply, so we could look for shorts. But on the other hand, if price mitigates this demand, then we go, and if it's getting confirmed, then we won't go short, because we will go long, because if this demand is getting confirmed, that causes the mitigation of this supply. If it's getting confirmed, then it will prove that the mitigation of this supply will be weak, and if this demand is stronger than this supply, and it can be proven by this confirmation, then it means that price will go long and it won't go short. This is how you can play with the confirmation. That's why we are waiting for these reactions. That's why we are marking out these high importance POIs. And that's why these confirmational entry types and everything like this is so important in our system, because we are not predicting if price will go up, down. We are just simply playing with these confirmations on these areas, because just think about it logically. There's a demand that created a break of a supply, right? This supply was broken by this demand here. But on the other hand, a supply has been mitigated. An unexperienced trader what an unexperienced trader would do here? They would, sorry, I was drinking. They would actually start to panic, because, oh my God, there's a demand that broke about the supply, but there's a supply mitigation, and the supply has been already mitigated, so I will take shorts. Oh my God, what will I do? No, sorry, switching. What are we doing? What are we doing in the system? We are patiently marking out the areas, marking out this demand that has initiated the break of this previous supply and caused the mitigation of this second supply, marking out this demand, and waiting for a confirmation on it. Because if it's getting confirmed, then it means that this second supply will be weak, and we can take advantage of this confirmation. Because if it's getting confirmed, it has a really high chance that this supply will be broken, especially if you're combining this whole liquidity line that is located above it. So if it's getting confirmed, we are taking longs. If it's getting broken, we are taking shorts. But I just sent you a pretty easy markup update, so you didn't really have to think about all of this hard thought progress. I did play it in myself, and I just simply, let me just play price back. I just simply sent you forecast and the movement like this, that if price mitigates this demand, creates confirmation, we'll take longs, and if price breaks below this demand, we take shorts. I just literally sent you this markup. So you didn't really have to care about the thought progress. You just had to look at this picture and act accordingly. And that's what you did, because I just counted more than 30 of you guys entered here in this trade with me, and more than 30 of you guys did profit on this trade. Huge. So that's pretty fucking huge. But after this thought progress, let's just play the price forward and see what has really happened here. And yeah, of course, obviously this was a small percentage, like 1% mitigation, which will be obviously a sell trap. But here it is. I just play price forward. You know the thought progress: demand mitigation, confirmation, longs, demand mitigation, break, shorts. Here's demand mitigation, and there he goes. The change of character, meaning the confirmation has happened. Meaning, if you take a look at the markup update, you will see that what we are looking for if the confirmation happens here. Obviously, we are looking for longs. But let's just count the criteria quickly here, because first we have to count the base criteria. First base criteria was the higher time frame mitigation, obviously. Second was the pro trend, because price just changed the character here on this 50-minute supply. So it was a pro trend trade for me because 50 minutes just changed character. Third, inefficiency. Here was inefficiency started by this demand here. But the base criteria was missing, because there was no liquidation. There is no liquidity has been swept into this area and from below the area. No liquidation. So the fourth criteria was missing, meaning I couldn't really enter here. I couldn't really enter, for example, here on this demand that has flipped this supply, because there was a missing base criteria. If we wanted to count the base criteria, then we would have counted this demand as liquidity, this decisional demand as liquidity for the extreme demand. Now the base criteria is quitting, because there is a decisional zone which counts as a liquidity for the extreme below it. If we count this as liquidity, which we can, then this is the fourth base criteria, so we can enter here on the extreme. That's why I didn't really enter here, because there was no liquidation beforehand the mitigation, meaning you can't enter here without liquidation criteria, meaning this will be the liquidation criteria for the extreme below. Okay, so yeah, I did settle limit order here on this demand. Price was hesitant for a little bit, and yeah, there was a perfect tagging. I believe I did settle limit order on the 50% because the 3 pip stop loss couldn't cover the whole area. So I did settle limit order here on the 50%, used 3 pip stop loss, if I'm correct, but I will check it with the risk reward ratio, because this was 1:8 risk reward ratio. Yeah, I exactly used this. I used it like this. So yeah, but in the meanwhile, price just created liquidity here also. But this was also liquidity. This decision was also liquidity. This decision was also liquidity. This was also liquidity. This was also liquidity. So liquidation criteria now was quitting. So let's just quickly count the criteria. First, higher time frame mitigation. Second, inefficiency. Third, pro trend. Fourth, liquidation. Fifth, change of character. Sixth, mitigation of the 50%. Seventh, wasn't coming from unmitigated opposite sided higher time frame zone. 8, liquidity to target, perfect liquidity to target here. 9, technically it was a V-shaped rejection, because price V-shapely rejected here perfectly, coming down, coming up, literally leaving a V-shape behind. Wasn't hesitating like here, wasn't hesitating like here. No, it was a literal V-shape, coming down, coming up. And there's a criteria video about this. I mean, sorry, there's an educational video about this criteria, so check it out if you don't know what it is. That was the 9 criteria, and the strong pro-corrective pullback for me basically we could count it because this was a strong pro movement that broke above the supply, and its price was correctively coming back to the higher time frame POI, but it traded a strong pro on the 1 minute confirmation. It was correctively coming back, but this invalidated the corrective pullback for me because it was aggressively coming down to this demand. So I just did count 9 criteria, and obviously the combined liquidation criteria was missing too. So yeah, 9 criteria trades, letting it run, bam, 1 to 8, full TP, done. 5K profit on this trade. So it was a perfect day again. So yeah, hope you gained some value from this recap. Wish you a beautiful rest of your day. Take care.